Success is not something that suddenly happens to you. It's something you build when no one is watching. It's what you practice in the dark that eventually shines in the light. And the truth is simple. You don't rise to success. You fall to your habits. Most people think success is luck. They look at someone who made it and say, they were at the right place at the right time. But what they don't see is the years of preparation before that moment. What they don't see is the quiet discipline, the early mornings, the late nights, the invisible choices that shaped that outcome. Success is not a moment. Success is a habit. And habits are not formed in bursts of motivation. They're formed through consistency, through doing the right thing even when it's boring, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is applauding. Because here's the truth. You don't become successful when you achieve something. You become successful when you become someone. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to be. Every time you show up when it's hard, you cast a vote for discipline. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you cast a vote for growth. And over time, those votes become your identity. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become confident. You practice confidence. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become successful. You practice success. The problem is, most people wait for motivation. They wait to feel ready. But the most successful people don't wait to feel ready. They act ready. They build systems that support their goals. They build routines that protect their dreams. They build habits that carry them forward even when their emotions try to pull them back. Because discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. When you respect your future, you stop sabotaging your present. And let's talk about your why. Because without a strong why, habits don't last. Motivation fades. Energy dips. Life gets hard. And when it does, the only thing that will keep you going is a reason bigger than your comfort. Your why is the reason you keep going when no one is cheering. Your why is the reason you don't quit when progress feels slow. Your why is the reason you choose growth over ease. People who succeed don't have easier lives. They have clearer reasons. They know what they're working toward. They know who they're becoming. And that clarity fuels their consistency. Now here's what most people get wrong. They think success comes from massive actions, big moves, big risks, big breakthroughs. But in reality, success comes from small, repeated actions done with commitment. It's the daily reading, the daily practice, the daily effort, the daily discipline. Small things, done daily, for a long time. And at first, nothing changes. That's the hardest part. You work and you don't see results. You show up and no one notices. You improve and no one claps. That's the phase where most people quit, not because they're incapable, but because they're impatient. But growth is happening. It's just underground. Just like a seed, you don't see anything for a while. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Structure is being built. And one day, without warning, everything breaks through. And people will call it overnight success. But you'll know better. Because you were there on the days when no one saw you. You were there when no one believed. You were there when quitting would have been easier. Success is not luck. It's alignment between what you want and what you do. So ask yourself this. Do your habits match your goals? Do your daily actions reflect your future vision? Does your routine support your dream or sabotage it? Because you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And the good news is this. Habits are trainable. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be faithful to your process. You don't have to know the entire path. You just have to take the next right step. One step, one day, one habit. That's how success is built. Not through luck, not through talent alone, not through wishing, but through commitment, through repetition, through choice. You choose success every day, or you choose comfort. You choose growth, or you choose ease. You choose discipline, or you choose delay. And over time, those choices define your life. So if you want a different future, build different habits. If you want a better life, build better routines. If you want success, stop waiting for it. Start practicing it. Because success is not something you chase. Success is something you become. Success is not something you stumble into by accident. It is not a surprise waiting at the end of a lucky day. It is something you build deliberately, quietly, and consistently through the choices you make when no one is watching. People often see the outcome and assume fortune played a role. But what they don't see is the pattern of behavior that led there. Success is constructed, not discovered. It is the result of repetition, not randomness. Every achievement you admire in others began long before the moment of recognition. It began with a decision to show up when it was uncomfortable, to keep going when results were invisible, and to commit to a standard higher than convenience. Success does not reward talent alone. It rewards persistence aligned with purpose. And persistence is not a feeling. It is a habit. It is something you practice until it becomes part of who you are. Most people wait for the right moment. They wait to feel ready, confident, motivated, or inspired. But success does not wait for emotions to cooperate. It responds to action. The people who succeed are not the ones who feel ready all the time. They are the ones who act ready. They understand that clarity often comes after movement, not before. They move first, and confidence follows. When you stop treating success as an event and start treating it as a process, everything changes. You stop asking, "When will I make it?" and start asking, "What can I do today that moves me forward?" You stop chasing outcomes and start building systems. And systems, unlike motivation, do not disappear when life gets hard. Systems carry you when your energy fades. Systems protect your progress when doubt tries to pull you backward. Success is built in the small decisions that feel insignificant in the moment. Choosing to read instead of scroll. Choosing to practice instead of procrastinate. Choosing to prepare instead of complain. These choices don't look heroic. They don't feel dramatic. But over time, they compound into something powerful. What you do once doesn't define you. What you repeat does. The most dangerous lie about success is that it belongs to the lucky few. Because when you believe that, you excuse yourself from responsibility. You convince yourself that effort doesn't matter, that circumstances matter more, that opportunity is something you wait for instead of something you create. But opportunity favors preparation. It favors those who are already in motion. It favors those who are already building, even when the results are invisible. Success is not found. It is formed. It is formed when you align your daily behavior with your long-term vision. It is formed when your habits support your goals instead of sabotaging them. It is formed when your actions reflect who you want to become, not who you used to be. And the most powerful part is this: you don't need a perfect plan. You just need a consistent one. You don't need to know every step. You only need to take the next one. Progress is not about speed. It is about direction. As long as you are moving forward, you are building something. Even slow progress is still progress. Even quiet effort is still effort. Even unseen work is still work. The world celebrates results, but success is built in the process. The applause comes at the end, but the work happens in the beginning, and the middle, and the days that feel repetitive, boring, and ordinary. Those days are not obstacles to success. They are the path to it. When you commit to building success instead of waiting for it, you take control of your future. You stop outsourcing your destiny to chance and start shaping it with intention. You stop hoping for a breakthrough and start becoming the kind of person breakthroughs happen to. You stop waiting for doors to open and start becoming the person who builds doors. Success is not something that happens to you. It is something you practice. It is something you choose. It is something you become through daily discipline, consistent effort, and intentional growth. And the moment you understand that success is built, not discovered, you stop looking for luck and start building your life. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is freedom in its purest form. Most people see discipline as something that limits their choices, but in reality, discipline expands them. When you master your habits, you master your time. When you master your time, you master your future. Freedom does not come from doing whatever you want in the moment. Freedom comes from doing what you need to do now so you can live the life you want later. Without discipline, life is reactive. You wake up responding to messages, reacting to problems, chasing urgency, and letting circumstances decide your direction. But with discipline, life becomes intentional. You stop letting the world control your schedule and start designing your own path. You stop being driven by emotion and start being guided by purpose. Discipline creates structure, and structure creates space for growth. Most people think freedom means no rules, no routines, no limits. But the people who live the most free lives are often the most disciplined. Athletes train relentlessly so they can perform effortlessly. Musicians practice for years so they can play with ease. Leaders prepare daily so they can respond calmly under pressure. Their freedom is not accidental. It is earned through discipline. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being honest with yourself. It is about choosing long-term respect over short-term comfort. It is about doing what you said you would do even when no one is watching. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence, consistency, and success. Without discipline, motivation becomes your driver. And motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls based on mood, energy, and circumstances. But discipline does not depend on how you feel. It depends on who you decide to be. Discipline is identity-driven. You don't wake up asking, "Do I feel like showing up today?" You wake up saying, "This is who I am. This is what I do." Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. You can have the clearest vision in the world, but without discipline, it remains a dream. You can have talent, passion, and intelligence, but without discipline, they remain unused. Discipline is what turns intention into action and action into outcome. Every time you choose discipline, you are choosing your future over your present. You are choosing growth over ease. You are choosing progress over comfort. You are choosing who you want to become over who you are right now. And that choice, repeated daily, changes everything. Discipline also protects you from regret. Regret is not born from failure. It is born from inaction. It comes from knowing you could have done more, could have tried harder, could have stayed consistent, but didn't. Discipline eliminates that gap between potential and performance. It closes the distance between who you are and who you could be. And the beautiful part is this: discipline is trainable. You don't start with perfect discipline. You start with small commitments. You start by doing what you said you would do today. Then you do it again tomorrow. Then again the next day. Over time, discipline becomes automatic. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once required effort becomes routine. Discipline does not remove obstacles. It strengthens you to overcome them. It does not make life easy. It makes you capable. It does not eliminate discomfort. It teaches you to move through discomfort with purpose. And when you become disciplined, you no longer depend on circumstances to feel confident. You depend on your standards. Freedom is not the absence of structure. Freedom is the result of structure. Freedom is waking up knowing you are in control of your choices. Freedom is trusting yourself to do what needs to be done. Freedom is building a life that is not ruled by impulse, fear, or distraction, but guided by intention, clarity, and commitment. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. Discipline is the price of freedom. Habits are not just actions you perform. They are statements about who you believe you are. Every repeated behavior becomes a signal to your mind about your identity. When you wake up early, you are not just waking up early. You are becoming someone who values growth. When you choose effort over ease, you are not just making a choice. You are shaping the kind of person you are becoming. Over time, your habits stop being things you do and start being who you are. Most people try to change their lives by changing their goals. They chase new outcomes, new results, new achievements. But real change doesn't start with goals. It starts with identity. Because if your identity stays the same, your habits will eventually pull you back to your old behavior. You might change what you want, but if you don't change who you believe you are, your actions will remain the same. And your actions will always reflect your identity. Think about it this way. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to exercise once. The goal is to become someone who takes care of their body. The goal is not to succeed once. The goal is to become someone who consistently shows up with discipline and purpose. When you shift your focus from outcomes to identity, your habits become natural instead of forced. Your habits are the proof of your beliefs. If you believe you are capable, you act differently. If you believe you are disciplined, you behave differently. If you believe you are committed, your actions reflect that commitment. But if you believe you are lazy, inconsistent, or unlucky, your habits will confirm that belief. This is not because you are weak, but because humans naturally act in alignment with who they think they are. The most powerful question you can ask yourself is not, "What do I want to achieve?" but "Who do I want to become?" Because once you answer that, your habits become clearer. If you want to become confident, you practice confidence. If you want to become successful, you practice success. If you want to become strong, you practice strength. Identity drives behavior, and behavior reinforces identity. This is why habits are so difficult to change, because you are not just changing an action, you are challenging a belief about yourself. You are rewriting the story you have been telling yourself for years. And that story often begins with past experiences, failures, or limitations. But your past does not define your identity. Your habits do, and your habits can change. Every small habit is a vote for the type of person you want to become. One workout doesn't transform your body, but it casts a vote for someone who values health. One study session doesn't make you an expert, but it casts a vote for someone who values learning. One act of discipline doesn't change your life, but it casts a vote for someone who respects their future. And when enough votes are cast, your identity shifts. The mistake most people make is trying to overhaul their lives overnight. They try to change everything at once, and when they fail, they conclude that they are incapable. But identity is not built in a day. It is built through consistency, through small wins, through repeated proof that you are the kind of person who follows through. That is how confidence is formed, not through achievement alone, but through reliability with yourself. When your habits align with your desired identity, change becomes sustainable. You no longer rely on willpower. You rely on who you are. You no longer force yourself to act differently. You naturally act in alignment with your standards. And standards are stronger than motivation. Your habits are not random. They are reflections. Reflections of your beliefs. Reflections of your self-image. Reflections of your standards. And if you want to change your life, the most effective place to start is not with your goals, but with your habits, because your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. Purpose is what gives your effort meaning. Without purpose, discipline feels heavy, habits feel forced, and progress feels pointless. You can work hard without knowing why, but you won't work hard for long. Because when motivation fades and obstacles appear, only purpose has the strength to carry you forward. Purpose is not just what you want to achieve, it is why you are willing to endure discomfort to achieve it. Most people look for purpose in outcomes, success, money, recognition, approval. But true purpose is not found in what you get. It is found in who you become and who you serve. Purpose is bigger than achievement. It is bigger than ego. It is rooted in contribution, impact, and meaning. When your goals are connected to something beyond yourself, persistence becomes natural instead of forced. Purpose transforms effort into devotion. When you know your why, you stop counting the hours and start committing to the mission. You stop asking how hard something is and start asking how important it is. Difficulty no longer feels like a signal to quit. It feels like proof that what you are doing matters. Purpose reframes struggle as part of the journey, not an obstacle to it. Without purpose, setbacks feel personal. Failure feels final. But with purpose, setbacks become information. They become lessons. They become steps in a longer story. When you know why you started, you don't quit when things get hard. You adjust. You adapt. You learn. You grow. Purpose keeps you anchored when emotions try to pull you away from your path. Many people confuse passion with purpose. Passion is what excites you. Purpose is what sustains you. Passion fluctuates. Purpose endures. Passion can inspire you to start. Purpose is what keeps you going when inspiration disappears. You don't need to feel excited every day. You need to feel committed. And commitment comes from purpose, not emotion. Purpose also clarifies your priorities. When everything feels important, nothing truly is. But when your purpose is clear, your decisions become easier. You know what to say yes to. You know what to say no to. You stop chasing every opportunity and start focusing on the right ones. Purpose filters your choices so your energy is invested, not wasted. When your purpose is strong, discipline becomes meaningful. You are no longer disciplined just to be productive. You are disciplined to honor something greater than yourself. You wake up with intention. You work with direction. You rest with clarity. Even your sacrifices feel worthwhile because they are connected to something that matters. Purpose is not something you find overnight. It is something you refine over time. It evolves as you grow, as you learn, as you experience life. But you don't need a perfect purpose to move forward. You only need a clear enough why to take the next step. Clarity grows with action, not before it. Your purpose does not need to be grand to be powerful. It doesn't need to change the world to change your world. It only needs to be meaningful to you. Because when something is meaningful, you protect it. You invest in it. You fight for it. You don't abandon it when it becomes difficult. Purpose is what turns effort into impact. It is what turns routine into ritual. It is what turns work into service. And when your actions are aligned with your purpose, You don't just move forward. You move forward with conviction, clarity, and commitment that outlasts motivation, outlasts fear, outlasts doubt, and carries you through every season of your journey. Small actions rarely feel powerful in the moment. They feel ordinary, easy to dismiss, easy to delay, easy to underestimate. But over time, those small actions compound, and what once felt insignificant becomes unstoppable. Success is not built on giant leaps. It is built on consistent steps taken in the same direction over a long period of time. What looks small today becomes massive tomorrow. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They chase fast results and ignore slow progress. But slow progress, when consistent, is the most reliable form of progress. It doesn't rely on motivation. It doesn't depend on perfect conditions. It only depends on repetition. And repetition, over time, changes everything. Compounding works whether you use it or not. Your habits are compounding every day, either in your favor or against you. The food you eat compounds. The thoughts you think compound. The actions you repeat compound. Even the things you ignore compound. Nothing stays neutral. Everything either grows or decays. The question is not whether compounding is happening. The question is whether it is working for you or against you. One workout won't transform your body. One study session won't transform your mind. One disciplined choice won't transform your life. But 1,000 of them will. And those 1,000 choices don't happen in one dramatic moment. They happen quietly, daily, often unnoticed. That is why consistency is more powerful than intensity. Intensity burns fast. Consistency builds slow and lasts long. Most people quit not because something is impossible, but because it feels unrewarding at first. They don't see immediate results, so they assume their effort is wasted. But progress is not always visible. Growth often happens beneath the surface. Just like a seed underground, your effort is developing roots before it shows results. And if you quit too early, you never see what it was becoming. Small actions also reduce resistance. Big goals feel overwhelming. They create pressure, fear, and hesitation. But small actions feel manageable. They feel doable. They feel safe. And once you start, momentum builds. Motion creates motivation. Action creates confidence. Progress creates belief. But none of that happens if you wait for perfect conditions. Small actions also create trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on something small, you strengthen your self-trust. You prove to yourself that you are reliable. And self-trust is more valuable than motivation, because motivation fades, but self-trust compounds. The more you trust yourself, the more likely you are to take bigger steps in the future. The most powerful part of small actions is that they change your identity. When you act consistently, even in small ways, you start to see yourself differently. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries, and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes, and start seeing yourself as someone who builds. And identity change is the deepest form of transformation. People often wait for a big breakthrough to change their lives, but life rarely changes through breakthroughs. It changes through build-up, through accumulation, through consistency, through daily decisions that feel ordinary but create extraordinary outcomes over time. Small actions do not feel heroic, but they are. They are heroic because they require patience. They require faith in a future you cannot yet see. They require discipline without immediate reward. And that kind of discipline is rare, which is why the results it produces are rare too. If you commit to small actions today, you are not just improving your present, you are investing in your future. You are planting seeds that will grow into opportunities, confidence, and success. You are choosing progress over perfection. You are choosing consistency over comfort. You are choosing to become someone who builds their life one decision at a time.